we got Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. Is it Zhang Weili or is it Weili Zhang? I don't know which way. I look, every different website, or every website has her differently. Some it's Weili Zhang, some it's Zhang Weili. I always call her Weili, so I assume it's her last name. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, regardless of the point, we got Zhang Weili stepping up a weight class to take Valentina Shevchenko on for the flyweight title, for the belt, for all the marbles. This is going to be a banger of a fight. I'm super excited for this one. It's going to be a banger. It's going to be super fun. Similar to the last fight, we're going to break down some of these recent fights between these girls, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons. We're going to try and figure this one out a little bit better. So, first up, we got Valentina Shevchenko. Let's go over some of her recent fights. First up against Manon Fiorot. I think this is the hardest type of a challenge she could have possibly had in this entire weight class, and she looked damn good. Now, early on, we could see pretty crazy. Valentina Shevchenko, 3-0 as a UFC underdog. She was an underdog in this fight against Weili. I know the line has flipped a little bit now. What is she at? Minus 130. I had to adjust this because earlier she was an underdog. I went and flipped this line earlier or last night because it flipped. She wasn't the favorite at first, but anyway, I put this in here. 3-0 as a UFC underdog. But anyway, this fight starts. Look at the size difference here. I mean, Fiorot she's a mammoth. She is a huge specimen. So to see her beat this challenge in front of her, a specimen like Manon Fiorot, I genuinely think this was the hardest match she could have possibly had. She passed the test, so I do have a bit of confidence in her. But anyway, earlier on in the first round, or a little bit past halfway point, minute 46 left in the first round, you can see Shevchenko clips Manon Fiorot. Actually, this was a little bit later. After it happened, you can just see in the bottom left corner, the replay, you can see the shot that really cracked her. It hurt Manon Fiorot. It broke, or not broke, but it busted her nose open. She was struggling with it. She did pretty well. I would say Shevchenko was looking really good in the striking early on. She was winning exchanges, clipped Manon Fiorot with the harder landing shots. So she was looking really good early on. Halfway through the first round. Now, this is where Manon Fiorot goes to land a kick. Shevchenko catches this kick. Boom. Takes it right into a takedown. You can see the face, too. This is after she got busted up with the nose and everything. Shevchenko clearly wins this first round, looks pretty dominant, lands the harder shots, is able to land a nice takedown, and no one's able to take down Manon Fiorot. Absolutely no one. So the fact that Shevchenko was able to do this, yes, it was off of a kick, but still very impressive. She was able to land this takedown off of that kick, dominates throughout the first round. Second round comes through, Shevchenko comes in for this takedown attempt. Manon Fiorot was able to have some success. She was able to stop this one. It just goes to show how well Manon Fiorot is able to sprawl and how good her takedown defense is. But Shevchenko is shooting for takedowns. This is more something we've seen later on in her career. But yeah, you can see Manon Fiorot is having some success in the grappling in the second round. A bit of a back and forth in terms of the scrambling and the grappling. It was a back and forth round. And third round comes around halfway through it. There's a lot of back and forth clinch battle going on in this fight. And it gets a girl like Manon Fiorot, who's the largest, most big mammoth of a woman. It was impressive to see Shevchenko really be extremely competitive in the grappling, especially against the cage like this. The clinch battle between the two of them. Manon Fiorot is huge, so it was impressive to me. Although Manon Fiorot did have quite a bit of success, she was having good moments throughout this round and throughout all of the entire fight. It just wasn't enough to quite get it done because she wasn't doing enough damage during this point. Now, fourth round comes, she's doing the exact same thing, holding her against the cage. However, Shevchenko was able to land a nice takedown towards the end of the round. A minute left in the fourth round. Had some good moments from her. And again, no one's taking down Manon Fiorot. Absolutely no one. So the fact that Shevchenko was able to do it twice, very impressive throughout this fight. We can see on the feet too. Fourth round, Valentina Shevchenko gets a knockdown. Big moment. Drops her ass. Last couple seconds of the round, definitely secures the round for Shevchenko. Great look. No one's hurting Fiorot like that. No one is. So to see Shevchenko really put her in a tricky spot like that, Shevchenko's able to take her down, able to knock her down, busted her nose up in the first round. Shevchenko looked great in this fight. Now, fifth round comes around. Manon Fiorot's doing some of the same shit, bodying her up against the cage like she was been doing against the fence. Now, the thing is, though, is that she's not really landing a whole lot of damage, and there's a lot of reversals through this. I don't show the reversals. Even though Manon Fiorot is just so big, she does win a lot of it against the cage. Shevchenko has her own success. That was my last one there. But Shevchenko ends up winning the fight, obviously, as we know. So it just goes to show, even when she's getting physically outdone a bit by girls that are just huge, she's able to still have success through the striking, through landing takedowns. She's that versatile of a fighter. She's just that highly skilled that even being at the size disadvantage, because everyone's going to be at a disadvantage against Manon Fiorot, her technical skill was still enough to get the job done. And I think Manon Fiorot is the hardest challenge for her. So to see her do that well, extremely impressive. Now, next up, we got her fight against Alexa Grasso, the third fight that they had. Now, in the first round, this was just a one-sided ass-kicking. Shevchenko made Alexa Grasso look like she didn't know how to grapple. And Alexa Grasso is a grappler. Now, this was the most recent fight that they had between the three matches. absolutely dominated. First round, lands a takedown, controls her, gets to her back. 1 second left in the first round, dominates. Second round, boom, takedown immediately. Alexa Grasso, there were some moments, Alexa Grasso did have some submission attempts of her own. They just weren't enough to do anything. Shevchenko was able to just control her on top, and this is where Alexa Grasso would be shooting for these, or going for these damn submissions, but she wasn't able to land them like she did in the first or the second fight? The first, when she got the submission over Shevchenko, she wasn't able to get it though. And at that point, she's giving up the rounds because Shevchenko is on top of her. So she's the one being controlled the entire round. She can't get the submission. She's losing the rounds. Third round comes around. You can see Shevchenko's turning into Marab out here. She's landing takedowns. This is a really sneaky takedown too. You can see Alexa Grasso thinks she's about to get punched in the face. She has a high guard up. Boom. Shevchenko bolts right in for the takedown. Gets it with ease. Boom. She is just dominating. Third round, controlling her on top, going to half guard. Crazy work. I mean, she's cooking. You could see Grasso does have some good sprawling in the fourth round. You could see, but still, Shevchenko able to get in there, make it gritty. Now, this is another moment where Grasso had a close. She's going for a guillotine. She had a moment. Nothing was really able to come from it, and at the same time, it allowed Shevchenko to basically, the second she popped her head out, now she's on top. She's the one controlling Alexa Grasso. She even had some good submission attempts of her own. So it just goes to show Shevchenko, her grappling is just looking career best. Even at later stage of her career, it's looking amazing. Now, even against the cage, in the clinch, getting now nasty. Now, both girls are having some success. I believe she gets reversed here. I believe 313, 3-8. Yeah, I believe she gets a nice little reversal here. You can see, ends up getting on top. 3 minutes left in the fifth round. Able to control her, a minute left in the fight. She's just cooking her way through this. I mean, she absolutely dominated, ends the fight on top and side control. I mean, Alexa Grasso got absolutely destroyed in this fight. I mean, it was not even remotely close. She had like 2 submission attempts. That was it. Shevchenko cooked her ass. And it just goes to show, like, Shevchenko is still getting better and better and better. This is not how the first and second fights turned out. So, impressive work from Shevchenko. It just goes to show she is still getting better. Even at 36, 37, she's still getting better. But we got Weili up next. Some of her recent fights. We got against Tatiana Suarez. This was a tricky one. You could see Tatiana Suarez in the first round. Tatiana Suarez was having a ton of success. She was able to take Weili down. Now, Weili did have some good moments of she was able to kind of reverse it at times. But early on, Weili pops back up. Or this is the second round. Second round. Comes around, Weili is getting, she's getting better in terms of her defensive grappling in the second, third. The longer this fight goes on, the less and less success Suarez has in this fight. She is able to land reversals of her own. And we can see, Zhang does have some good moments of success. She was able to hold her own. Even when Suarez is holding her against the cage halfway through the second round, she's still able to hold her own in there. We can see Suarez's takedowns were, some of these were shot from like a mile away. Not the best. This was the most choreographed takedown you could possibly have, or choreographed, the most telegraphed takedown you could possibly have. Not a good look. And as a result, she didn't have a ton of success. She was able to hold Zhang against the cage, or Weili against the cage, but it's just she wasn't able to do a whole lot. We saw Weili was able to land some nice trips. She had some nice reversals of her own. She was dominating on the end, towards the end of the second round on the ground as well, too. So it goes to show Weili is no fish out of water in terms of the grappling. Second round comes around, or third round comes around halfway through. You can see she's just shooting these takedowns from a mile away. They're just absolutely horrible. You could see Weili's just throwing her off, like, get out of here. They were just terrible. They were god-awful takedown attempts. So it's a bit of both. On one hand, you could say Weili, her takedown defense was looking really good, which it was. But on the other hand, Suarez's takedowns were just absolute piss. They were terrible. So it's a bit of back and forth. You can see the fourth round comes around. Weili starts to really ramp it up even in this point. Suarez is completely death-gassed. Her cardio is terrible. In a 3-round fight, Suarez looks really good. In 5, no bueno. We could see Weili Zhang. She was able to get fourth round, very end of the fight, or at very end of the fourth round, dominating on top. We could see fifth round comes around. Suarez has his takedown, looks really good. Look at the sprawl in this. Weili sprawling. Woo, very, very good work from her. So it just goes to show, Weili has improved quite a bit in the grappling, in the scrambles. You can see she has a good sprawling. Looks pretty damn good. Suarez is able to hold her against the cage for a little bit in this fifth round, but just not able to do a whole lot. This was really interesting though. Suarez goes for this trip. If you were to see this, you would think she lands it. She doesn't. She somehow gets out of it. Weili is able to prevent this. She jumps right out of it. Her balance was great off one foot. You can see. Doesn't get it. Pretty crazy. Just goes to show Weili was cooking. Even towards the end of this fifth round, Suarez was just completely death gas. She had nothing left. I will say about this fight, though. Before we go there, So I'm pretty sure Suarez was injured going into this fight. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I was watching an interview of Suarez where she was talking like, oh, I was just so excited for the title shot. I know I wasn't ready, but I just couldn't say no. I couldn't let myself turn this one down. So I'm pretty sure she was hurt going into that fight. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was some injury. There was some underlying something. Maybe she had, I forget what she had, but there was something that was going on with her before this fight that I wanted to make sure we talked about, because that was an outlier in this fight that I do remember. But anyway, next up, our fight versus Yan Xiaonan. This was a crazy one. Halfway through the first round, Weili is cooking, or Yan's cooking on top. You can see she landed a takedown pretty early on, had some success in the grappling. Crazy work though. Weili lands a crazy throw. You can see, absolutely insane. This was the craziest part of the entire fight though, in case you guys forgot. Oh my goodness, Weili has this choke in. Yan passes out. She completely goes out cold. Somehow she gets saved by the bell and then wakes back up. They don't call it off. Herzog's roughing. You know how it goes. The fight doesn't get called off. They bring her to the stool. The corner man, or not the corner man, not the medical, whatever the guy, the cut man. He goes, you want me to wake her up? And the coach is like, I think it's Uriah Favorite. He's like, yeah. And he goes and puts some shit in her nose. You can see I don't know if he was smelling salts, a little coke, or I don't know what they gave her. But it woke her ass back up. And they ended up going all 5. Now we can see at one point too, Yan hurts Weili. Drops her ass on the ground. Pretty crazy. Halfway through the third round, or a minute into the third round, you can see, puts Weili on her ass. We've seen Weili hurt before. Maybe Shevchenko could do it again. We could see, boom, clipped her ass again. 2 minutes left in this third round. Yan was kind of having some moments here. Looking pretty good. Even in the grappling, she had moments of her own. She was looking pretty damn good. Even here, you can see a nice little trip. He catches a kick. You can see this one lands. Suarez wasn't able to do it, but Yan was able to. Puts her on her ass. It's just Weili is better on the ground. She's able to reverse her. A minute left. Or wait, oh, shit, no, sorry. This was later on. This was a minute left in the third round. Able to trip, get her on top. I forget what happens at the end of the third round. In the fourth round, though, we could see Weili was really just dominating in the grappling. This is halfway, or 1 minute left in the fourth round. So Weili was just a step ahead in the grappling. We kind of knew that, though. Weili came into this fight as a huge favorite for a reason. She's just more well-rounded than Yan is. So this was in the fifth round. Weili's going for more takedowns, which shows us, Weili can really keep a pace. She can grapple. She can go all 5 rounds for sure. And she ended the round looking pretty damn good. So does it for this one. In terms of who I'm picking, I'm going Valentina Shevchenko. I just think she should be able to get the job done. I like the fact that she's the natural flyweight. We got Weili who's stepping up. And I just think Shevchenko has proven against higher level opponents that she can really hang. I don't know. I respect the losses, the wins of a Furo in the Alexa Grasso 3. That holds a lot more weight in my mind than Zhang Weili beating Suarez, who's injured and has been injury prone her entire career. No cardio. She's not made for 5-rounders. And at the same time, she beat Yan, who she looked really good, but Yan was hurting her at times. She was clipping her on the feet. She even had success in the grappling. I think Shevchenko is just the GOAT. I think she's on the Mount Rushmore of ladies MMA fighting. She's proven herself as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. If she beats Weili here, there are going to be some conversations to be had. But I just think Shevchenko, 37 years old, she still got it. And Weili's 36, so it's not like either of these girls are over the hill. They're probably right about at that point. Maybe a couple more years. But still, I still think Shevchenko is just the most complete, well-rounded fighter. And I think she's just a step ahead of Weili. She should be able to dominate. Or not dominate, but I think she should be able to win the grappling exchanges. I think on the feet, her striking is really crisp. If Weili comes in kind of crazy, we've seen Weili knocked out cold. We've seen her hurt repeatedly in recent fights. So I think Shevchenko could hurt her on the feet. I think she could beat her on the ground and the grappling. I just think there's more ways for Shevchenko to win. So the pick's got to be Valentina Shevchenko for your boy.